special thanks to Candace and Leo and Corey. Thank you all for being here today. Appreciate it very, very much. Look, Montana not only has more cattle than people, Montana raises some of the best beef in the world. And this country raises the best beef in the world, okay? So when we talk about Montana beef, that's synonymous for some of the best beef in the world. Now, I'm going to tell you, I know this because back in the day, my wife Charlotte and I ran a custom butcher shop. And we butchered Montana beef because we're from north central Montana. And we raised a few ourselves too. And even now, we butcher some of our neighbors' beefs. We pay for them, of course. And then we haul them back to Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, not every American can do that. And I would say because of short-sighted changes in our labeling practices in 2015, the U.S. cannot require country of origin labeling on beef products. This is a big mistake. And it's a big mistake because it puts American ranchers who adhere to the strictest safety protocols in the world, they're playing on an uneven playing field. And it also keeps the consumers in the dark about the origins of foreign and sometimes contaminated beef sold across the country. Additionally, under the current USDA voluntary labeling rules, products can be misleading. We don't want that for the consumer. We want people to know when they're buying U.S. beef. In fact, we want to be able to go to the meat counter and look for product of USA beef. Since 2015, U.S. cattle producers have seen cattle prices plummet while being handcuffed on building demand for their high-quality U.S.-produced cattle. Families have been deprived of the important information about where their meat that they buy comes from. Now, I'm going to tell you, back in 2015, I was not very happy. I denounced the decision, and I've been fighting ever since to reinstate mandatory country of origin labeling. Because Montana consumers need to know, and because our cow-calf operators deserve a fair return. So I'm proud to announce that today I've joined forces with a bipartisan group of Senate colleagues from South Dakota to New Jersey to introduce a bill to ensure that consumers know what they're getting when they buy a steak-labeled product of USA. Our American Beef Labeling Act would ensure that the beef raised in the United States is labeled as product of USA. It tasks the U.S. Trade Representative, the USTR, to work with the Secretary of Agriculture to develop World Trade Organization compliant way to reinstate mandatory country of origin beef within a year. And if, after a year, the USTR is unable to find a workable solution, mandatory country of origin labeling will be automatically reinstated. With the recent reports of potential mad cow disease coming out of Brazil, it is more important than ever that we pass this bill to give our consumers a peace of mind that they need to choose which meat to put on the table. Montanans should be able to choose for themselves whether to buy foreign beef from overseas or whether to buy beef that was raised and processed safely right here in the good old USA. This beef will also take a bite out of growing consolidation in the meat industry. Big meat packers like JBS have spent the last few decades consolidating control based on their ability to sell foreign beef on American shelves at cut rate prices. This bill will give Montana cow-calf operators a leg up on competition, going to give consumers more information and give them a choice. And I think when they get a choice, they're going to support USA product. So this is a big deal. It's not only a big deal for consumers, it's a big deal for the ranchers and the families. And I look forward to getting the American Beef Labeling Act over the finish line and signed into law. Now I want to introduce some folks who have a real-life perspective on what's going on with mandatory country of origin labeling right here in Montana. First, I want to welcome Candace Bullard, Operations Director for RCAF USA. Candace?
Good morning. My name is Candace Bullard, and I represent RCAF USA, the largest trade and lobby organization that represents only U.S. cattle producers. Montana's and America's cattlemen and cattlewomen sacrifice and work hard to produce the best, healthiest, most wholesome beef in the world. U.S. born, raised, and harvested beef. I was born on a ranch about a 5-hour drive from here. At that time, my father was a cattle rancher. Like all cattle ranchers, he was a hard worker. He had to be, because for cattle ranchers and farmers, there are few, if any, days off, and few, if any, weekends and holidays. Our cattle ranchers will never let America down. It's just who they are. But corporate greed has let them down. Since the 1980s, America has lost over 500,000 of its cattle ranches. My father's ranch was one of them. I was only 3 years old at the time, but I know the story well. My father, along with the hundreds of thousands of ranchers that left behind everything they've ever hoped, dreamed, and worked so hard for, did not choose to leave their ranch. They left because they had no choice, because ranching has become almost impossible, because the price they receive for their cattle is below their cost of raising cattle. One of the reasons is because the 4 largest meat packers that purchase cattle for beef are outsourcing cattle and beef from foreign countries, and they don't let the final purchaser know where it's coming from. I'm honored to stand here today next to Senator Tester as he introduces his and Senator Thune, Rounds, and Booker's American Beef Labeling Act that will restore mandatory country of origin labeling for beef and requires all beef sold at the grocery store to be labeled as to where it was born, raised, and harvested. We, as a nation, depend on our cattle ranchers. We all witnessed the empty meat cases at the start of the pandemic. Together, we have the power to change the course of our cattle industry. For U.S. cattle producers to earn a better living, for job creation and economic development, and for the protection of our nation's food security. It has been 36 years since my father and mother had to leave their ranch behind. And I am truly grateful to see a new era of unprecedented representation by Congress for our nation's cattlemen and cattlewomen who sacrifice and work hard to produce the best, healthiest, most wholesome beef in the world, U.S. born, raised, and harvested beef. Senator Tester's bill will give consumers the information they need to help save Montana's and America's ranchers. Thank you all.
I just want to say thank you, Candace. Thank you for those remarks. And I just want to say RCAF has been, they've been like a bulldog on this issue. They've been incredibly helpful and they've done a great job. So thanks, Candace. And please pass that on. Next person, you know, you get in this business, you get to meet some really good people. But one of them real good people is got to remember his name now. It's Leo McDonald. Sorry. Anyway, Leo is a rancher from Columbus, Montana, and Leo is also somebody that has been involved with this issue through the Montana Cattlemen Association. So, Leo, thank you, sir.
Well, I want to thank Senator Tester and his colleagues for bringing this back up. It was a tough deal here in 2015 when they repealed COOL under a threat of retaliatory tariff, which was never confirmed or established or quantified by the WTO. And I want to say that was the first time any industry in the United States ran from those kind of decisions and threats. You know, we're in a country that we're always telling people, stand strong, stand up for this country. And it's so neat to see you guys standing up for America instead of these foreign packers. You know, there's a lot of countries out there that have country of origin labeling. You know, we're still in the dark ages when it comes to marketing our beef to consumers. And we import a lot of beef and cattle. I mean, for such a small country with just 4% of the population, 18% of the beef today that you eat come from imported beef or cattle. So, and a lot of it is from countries that I'm not too fond of, and practices that I'm not too fond of. Some of them have thrown their packing plant owners in jail for bribing they're inspectors. Some of those packing plants are here in the U.S. lobbying against stuff like this. So thanks again. I'm going to try and keep this a little short.
You're doing good.
But, you know, it's interesting with Cool. As it matured from 2009 to 2015, the last 2 years of Cool in 2014 and 15 saw the highest cattle market we'd ever seen, John. And a lot of people won't recognize, a lot of the opposition won't recognize the fact that we were getting a significant premium on 90% domestic lean for our hamburgers and grind meat. Well, half the beef in the U.S. is marketed as grinding product. Half. Do you know what that little premium was worth to our cattle then, John? It was huge. And so when you look at the repeal of Cool of 15, and you think about the threat of retaliatory tariff, and you think about how much equity was suddenly lost by this industry, these U.S. cattle producers have lost billions and billions and billions of dollars. Make those retaliatory tariffs look like nothing. More important than that, we never even got an opportunity to market U.S. beef in this country, to promote it. But in the international market, where we're allowed to use our checkoff dollars to promote U.S. beef, and it's required they promote U.S. beef, U.S. beef brings over $1 premium to the next closest competitor, Canada, as reported by U.S. Meat Export Federation through their CBB contract. Huge, folks. And I tell you what, I had a chance to testify at the Cool hearings when they repealed Cool, and I've never seen so many people so full of fear as the opponents of Cool. They do not want it. They lose their leverage against the producers. They lose their leverage against the consumers. They do not want it. And I hope you stay strong on this. We're there to back you up whenever you need us. And, you know, it's simple marketing 101, folks. You've been told for years as cattle producers you have the #1 quality product in the world. #1. And yet you're forced to commingle it with the commodity products out there. And you're not allowed to let the U.S. consumer know where that product comes from. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that happens in third world countries, not in the United States of America. Thank you again.
Well, thank you, Leo. Look, man, you're going good. So you want to come back up? I just want to say, look, I don't have to tell you guys. I mean, Leo brought up pre-2015. Our cow-calf producers in this country are being pinched. They're being pinched hard. Washington, D.C. needs to step up. This is one of the ways we need to step up. We got some other ways to step up, too. I was here a few months ago. We talked about some of the other things we can do. But I would just say, just as I talked about our craft, U.S. cattlemen, you guys have been great. And I just want to thank you guys. And you keep fighting, we'll keep fighting, okay? Yeah. Last but certainly not least, we have Corey Day, who is the part of the Yellowstone Valley Citizens Council Community Food Campaign. But that's not why she's here. She's here because she goes to meat cattle, and she buys beef, and she feeds her family. And so I want to hear from you. Pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
My name's Corey Day. Thanks for having me here today because I definitely have some things to say about this topic. I am a consumer. I'm not one of the lucky few who are able to run a beautiful ranch and have my own cattle, so I do have to buy it at the store. And I care a lot about the quality that I eat. I'm a mom, I'm an educator, I'm a volunteer in the community. I have a lot on my plate and I don't have a lot of time. So I want to go to the store, and when I see a label, I want to know that that label is telling me the truth, that I can read that label and I can know what I'm buying. I don't have to go home and do a bunch of research to find out, is this really what I'm buying? And currently, that's not the case. I know that I can't trust that product in USA means that it was actually grown and raised here. It maybe was just packaged here. And to me, that is not honest. And it causes me to mistrust our food system. I don't like that. And I also, as a Montana resident, I really value our working landscapes. They're one of the reasons that I love being here. We have a beautiful state. And if the product of USA label doesn't mean anything, and our farmers and ranchers are not getting what they deserve for their meat, and they are having to sell off, then our landscape is going to change. Montana is not going to be a place that we want anymore. And so, as a consumer, I really strongly support mandatory country of origin labeling because I want to trust our food system. I want to know that what I buy at the store is what it says it is. And I want to see our working landscapes in Montana thrive so that this continues to be the beautiful state that I love. So thank you.
Thank you. Now, this bill is as much about the consumer as it is about anybody. We got to have choices. I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's not brag. It's fact. We raise the best products in the world here. Best beef products in the world in this country. Our consumers should know that when they go to the marketplace. And this bill will do exactly that. Questions? We covered it all?
Can you do it in a year? I mean, I like the year deadline. That puts the heat on it. But
Yeah.
what kind of time frame does it take to get it to the point where we can say to the WTO that will work?
So I think we didn't pick a year because we didn't think it would work. I mean, you got to roll up your sleeves, and I will tell you that it's going to be up to folks like May and Thone and Booker and Rouse to keep the pressure on first we got to get this bill passed, and then we put the heat on the USDA, and that's what we've got to do. Can we do it in a year? I think we can do it in a few months. It's just a matter of making it a priority. This. We do a lot of things in Washington, D.C. and it's all important work. But I'm telling you what, if we don't start paying attention to what's going on in our food chains in this country's going to change. And you know this as well as I do. The cow-calf guys are getting squeezed. They're getting pinched really hard. We got to start looking out for what they're doing. So time is of the essence here.
Then a second question by Mike, that the first half of it seems a little easier. Getting the USDA's regulations, you're getting the labeling correct. I mean, you've done a lot of work on that already.
Yeah, that's correct. No, I mean, look, depends on your point of view, okay? But I really think that this is, I mean, look, we were talking about this stuff 25 years ago. I mean, this is not a new concept. People have been thinking about it. We got smart people. We can get this done. Yeah. And it should all be easy. It just makes common sense. But you know how it is. Other questions?
Any other questions?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anybody.
I don't need to walk up the podium.
Well, we need to get you on the mic.
Oh, okay. Well, just to answer your question, that's a great question. We've had now a couple of reports out of U.S. University of Tennessee and Fabre and stuff saying, a lot of these regulations that WTO didn't like on requiring tracking. The other countries did, by the way, but that's immaterial. A lot of those paperwork things that they were saying was discriminatory are in place today. It's redundant. So a lot of the challenges are already become common practice. So a lot of that goes away, along with the cost.
Anybody else? Good to go? I want to end by where we started. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it very, very much. This is a big issue. If you've got folks you're related to or friends with in other states, get on, shoot an email to their U.S. senators and their House members. This is important. We got to get folks aware that this is a big issue again, and we got to get this baby rolling. So if you can help me out there, I appreciate it. All right.